Art of Algebra Lesson 3. So this one, again, we're with Heart of Algebra, Standard 1, where we create, solve, or interpret a linear expression or equation in one variable. So this is basically simplifying expressions. First part of simplifying expressions is combining like terms. And this is when we add or subtract the coefficients of terms with identical variable expressions. For example, if I have 3x plus 2x, I can combine these because our variable expressions are the same. So 3 plus 2 would give me 5, and then x. But if I had something like, 2x squared minus 3x, this would have to stay as is, because if I look at my variable expressions, right, these are not the same. Okay, and if your variable expressions are not identical, you cannot go ahead and combine them. Next, distributive property, something you guys have used a ton. That's when we just multiply everything in the quantity by the outside factor. So a times b would give me ab, a times c would give me ac. Remember, if you multiply and get a positive, we add it. If you multiply and get a negative, you subtract it. Now when we simplify expressions, we're basically distributing to get rid of the parentheses, and then we combine like terms. So always remember to do it in this order. So the first example, okay, if I look inside here, nothing can be done on the inside. So this becomes a bracket b minus c plus d. So now I have no like terms inside the bracket, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just distribute that a. A times b is ab. Then a times negative c is negative ac, so we subtract it since it's negative. A times d is plus ad. And right away when I go ahead and look at this, right, that's addition, so that can't work. ab minus ac plus d. Remember, you have to distribute the a to the d, so that doesn't work. ab minus ac plus ad. There we go. All right. So now the next one says for all n, 3n plus 5 all squared equals. When you see this for all n, don't let that trick you. All they're basically saying is they want you to simplify the 3n plus 5 all squared. So what are we basically doing? I recommend most students, when you square something, you're multiplying it by itself. So write it out as 3n plus 5 times 3n plus 5. Now, this is kind of like one of those FOIL problems. We're going to do 3n times 3n, which is going to give me 9n squared. 3n times 5 is going to give me plus 15n. This is going to give me plus 15n. And this would give me plus 25. So now when I combine like terms, I have 9n squared. 15n plus 15n, those could be combined to give me 30n, and then my plus 25. So just by knowing, you can eliminate silly answers here right away just by knowing that 3n times 3n is 9n squared, so a and b don't make sense. You should also know that you're going to end up doing 5 times 5, which is 25, which eliminates c there. So now that middle term is a tough one. And as you can see, we got 30n, so you know letter E has to be your answer choice. Okay? Example 3. What I'm basically doing with these two polynomials is I'm subtracting them. I have nothing to distribute to the first one, so I'm basically going to drop the parentheses and rewrite it. Since I'm subtracting the second one, I'm basically going to distribute a negative 1. Negative 1 times 4a is minus 4a. Negative 1 times 4 is minus 4. Now I'm looking to combine like terms. 6a can be combined with negative 4a. Negative 12 can be combined with negative 4. And that would give me 6a minus 4a is 2a. Negative 12 minus 4 is negative 16. So we end up getting 2a minus 16, but as you look, none of these are answer choices, right? Now, if you remember how to factor, or GCF, what can 2 and 16 both be divided by? 2. And if I divide these by 2, I'm left with a minus 8. Now, that's one way, but say you don't know how to do this. How could we, approach this problem? Well, what I would do is just distribute this 2 in each of these to determine which one gives you 2a minus 16. That's going to give you 2a plus 4, 2a plus 8, 2a minus 4, 2a minus 8. Right here, this would give you 2a minus 16. Okay, so even if you don't know how to go from here to here, right, just work backwards by using the answer choices to see which one matches up with the 2a minus 16. So, next one. Which of the following is in simplified form? Well, anytime I look here, I have no parentheses right now, but I know I can combine like terms. 4x plus 3x is going to give me 7x minus 4y. Now, that doesn't look like it, that doesn't look like it, that doesn't look like it. Boom. Make sure you read through all of the answers. All the above problems were ACT problems. Now, these are the type that you'll see on the SAT. I wanted to give you a mixture of how standardized test questions were, given. So, I tried to make a good variety of different questions. So the first one, this is a question you would see on the no calculator portion of the exam. And you'll see it's what we call a gridded response. So you're going to bubble in the number that you get. So they give you 2x times the quantity, 3x plus 5, plus 3 times the quantity, 3x plus 5, should end up, after simplifying, looking something like ax squared plus bx plus c. This is actually a really easy problem that students will struggle with. In the equation above, a, b, and c are constants, meaning that means they're numbers. You know they're numbers. If the equation is true for all values of x, what is the value of b? So what would the value of this be after I simplify this expression? Well, to simplify, the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So 2x times 3x, 6x squared. 2x times 5 is plus 5x. Now I'm going to distribute in the second one. 3 times 3x is plus 9x. 3 times 5 is plus 15. And right away when I go ahead here, these are the only like terms that you get in the problem. So, bring down the 6x squared, then plus 14x, then plus 15. And if you look, this matches up with the ax squared, this matches up with the bx, and this matches up with the c, or constant. Well, right away here, what number's in front of x in our simplified expression? B would be 14. And that's the answer you would bubble in. Okay? Now the next example, right? If f of x equals negative 2x plus 5, what is f of negative 3x equal to? So this is a combination of remembering how to approach function notation. This becomes my input. So everywhere I see an x in this problem, I'm going to replace it with negative 3x. So f of negative 3x is equal to negative 2 times, right? I'm replacing this x value with negative 3x. And then I have my plus 5. So now f of negative 3x is equal to, when I multiply negative 2 times negative 3x, negative 2 times negative 3 is 6x, then plus 5. So right away, what does f of negative 3x equal? 6x plus 5. Now, next example. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to the expression above? So I have to basically multiply these three things together. Remember, anytime you multiply three numbers together, right, you have to multiply two numbers at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply these two expressions by distributing that 3. Then I'm going to get an answer. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 1 is plus 3. But now Remember, that turns into this, and now I have to multiply that by the 4x plus 1. So now I'm going to FOIL this out. 6x times 4x is 24x squared. 6x times 1 is plus 6x. Then 3 times 4x is plus 12x. Then 3 times 1 would be plus 3. When I combine like terms, 24x squared, these can be combined to give me plus 18x plus 3, which ends up being letter C. Now when you look at this, right, what this NC means is this is a no calculator question. So you actually have to know how to do this by hand. So anytime you see NC there, that's no calculator. Anytime you see a C, it's calculator. So the next one, all right, is probably one of the more difficult ones. Okay? And it's all because of the decimals. So right away, how would we approach this one? Well, first, what you have to notice is this first binomial is being raised to the second power. So my first step is to take that and write it out because I'm going to square it, meaning I'm going to multiply it by itself. So 1.5x times 1.5x is going to give you 2.25x squared. Then 1.5 times 2.4 is going to give me minus 3.6x. Then I'm going to get minus 3.6x. Then negative 2.4 times negative 2.4 will give me plus 5.76. So now this becomes 2.25x squared. Then negative 3.6 minus 3.6 will give you negative 7.2x plus 5.76. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this minus sign up top and bring it down here. So it'd be minus 5.2x squared plus 6.4, because a negative times a negative would be a positive. So the first thing I'm going to do now is combine my x squareds, right? What is 2.25 minus 5.2 going to give me? It's going to give me negative 2.95x squared. So right away, I can eliminate A and B. My middle terms, you notice they match up already, so I know right away this is going to be minus 7.2x. So now, what is 5.76 plus 6.4? That's going to be plus 12.16, which would be letter C.